Hey everybody, this is Peter and welcome to the show today. Well, you know, the holidays are right around the corner, so I thought it might be a great time to start showing you how to make some really cool holiday breads. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make a cranberry, walnut, rosemary, no knead bread. It's going to be a very artistic style of bread. It's super easy to do. Super easy to put together. I'm going to show you all the steps and you're going to love this bread. As a matter of fact, many of you may want to be giving it away for Christmas gifts. So let's get started on this no knead cranberry, walnut, rosemary bread. Let's go. Okay, I want to go over the list of ingredients with you today, but before I do that, please do me a favor. If you have not already subscribed to my channel, please do so. It really helps me out. And also, please at the end, give us a thumbs up because that too really helps out my channel. Thank you so much for doing that. First of all, let me talk about the tools you're going to need. You don't need a mixer, you don't need a bread machine. All you need is a bowl and a spoon. That's pretty much it. Also, of course, you get your baking vessel, which is going to be the Dutch oven. Here is my bowl. It's a stoneware type of bowl. You can use any kind of bowl that you want. It can be a glass bowl, plastic bowl, doesn't matter. What I want you to do is take 14 ounces of water, and this is just regular tap water. It doesn't have to be hot, doesn't need to be cold, just kind of regular tap water, more or less warm to the touch. So just go ahead and pour that into your bowl. So that's 14 ounces of water. And by the way, all the list of ingredients are going to be down below in the description of the video area. I put in 1.5 teaspoons of regular table salt. Now, I'm going to talk to you about timing and yeast and the quantity of yeast that you use for this method. If you want to put this all together and let it rise overnight, you're going to be using 1/8 teaspoon of yeast. 1/8 teaspoon is all it's going to take. You can mix it all up, use the 1/8 teaspoon, let it sit on the counter overnight, and it's going to be ready to go to cook in the next morning. However, today I'm going to be making this bread ready to go in 1.5 hours. How do I do that? I use more yeast. So this is 1.5 teaspoons of yeast. Now this is just fast rising yeast. Sometimes it's called bread machine yeast. All right, the next thing I'm going to be doing is just mixing this up. The water, the salt, the yeast, just kind of mix that all together. Now I'm going to be putting in some flavoring ingredients. And the first flavoring ingredient I'm going to be using is melted butter. This is about 4 teaspoons, tablespoon and a half more or less of melted butter. If you want to kick this bread to the next level beyond the melted butter, you could be using browned butter, and I'm telling you, it will make a difference. So I don't have time to do the brown butter today in this video. So this is just about 4 teaspoons, not tablespoons, teaspoons of melted butter. I'm just going to add that right in. And I'll mix that together with the water and the salt and the yeast. Okay, now I'm going to be putting in some rosemary. I want to show you just how fine this fresh rosemary is. Rosemary is a very pungent and very strong flavoring ingredient or spice. So be careful when putting in the rosemary. I have here about 2 teaspoons of freshly chopped fresh rosemary. If you're going to be using dried rosemary, you want to knock that back to about 1/2 teaspoon. All right, now I'll mix that in with the other ingredients. Now it's time to be putting in the bread flour. You can use bread flour, you can be using all-purpose flour, whatever you have, it doesn't much matter. The only difference between bread flour and AP flour, all-purpose, is the quantity of protein. We want 3.5 cups. Also, if you look and see what I'm doing, I'm just simply putting the flour into my container, and then I'm just scooping it off with my hand. And then as you put the flour into your bowl, put it on the side so that it doesn't splash back on you. All right, here's my third one. I'm going to put that in there. Again, just leveling it right off with my finger. And now this is a 1 cup measure, and I'm just going to put in about 1/2 cup or so of flour. So we have 3.5 cups of flour going into this mixture. I want you to use a spatula. It can be a wooden spatula. This is some kind of plastic spatula. But I want you to use this side, not this side, all right? This side, not this side. Not right now. Use the stick to move this around. The difference is going to be that you're going to be able to move all of these things around very, very easily with the stick, where with the spatula side of the spatula, the flatter side, what's going to happen is that it's all going to clump up around this, and nobody wants that. It's just too difficult to deal with. So just use the stick, move all these things around. We're just trying to hydrate the flour. That's all we're trying to do with this step. So just keep on mixing it up until it looks pretty wet. Now, by the way, this is a very high hydration dough, which means that it has a lot of water in comparison to the other ingredients. It's a high hydration dough. Okay, now I'm going to be putting in some chopped walnuts, and I just crushed these with my hands. That's all that I did, just like you're seeing me do here. Just crushing them up with my hand and adding these in. I want them to be a little chunky. I don't want you to chop them up where they're very fine. I want people to actually kind of really taste that walnut, and I think the only way to do that is to leave them a little chunky. But you can see right here in the video what I'm doing with my hand. I'm just simply crushing these up. You, of course, can use a knife if you wish and chop them up more finely. Don't chop them up too finely. That's going to be the issue. Now here we had about a cup. Here I have a cup of dried cranberries or craisins, and we're going to mix those in with the dough as well. All right, so I'm going to mix that all up. Now the one thing that I can tell with this dough, and by the way, I've made these dough recipes hundreds of times over the last decade or so, so I'm pretty quick at seeing maybe a challenge. What I'm seeing here today is that it's a little wet. I'm just going to be adding in about another 1/8 of a cup of flour, and I just want to mix that in. And I think what's causing this to be a little more wet looking is actually the butter. I think that's causing the issue, but the butter is going to give this a really, really good flavor. I still see it as being a little wet, and I'm just trying to develop like a shaggy ball, not really a wet ball. So now I've added in about another 1/2 cup of flour. This recipe is super forgiving, so you don't have to be exact with your measurements. It's not that important. And if you notice, if you ever watch videos on YouTube of professional bakers, when they're making the bread, you'll see them put the dough together, and then as they put the dough out on the table to be kneading, they're adding more flour to it, and they're also putting dough onto a floured surface. So the dough is picking up more flour. That's why it's not critically important about getting the measurements exact, because you're going to be adding in more flour as time goes on. You want to be using this side of the spatula to just go around and to bring the stuff all together off the sides, just kind of tuck it all in there. And now this is going to go into my Breville oven, which is behind me, and I have a proofing mode on the Breville oven. A lot of machines today, toaster ovens and all that, have a proofing mode. You can just put it there. You can even just let it sit on your kitchen cabinet. It's fine too. Good news is that I made one of these earlier today, and it's already proofed, and so I'm going to be right back, and we're going to continue on. Be right back. Okay, I finally taken the bread dough out of my proofing oven back here in the back. So this is what it looks like, and as you can see, it's proofed up very, very nicely in that large bowl. And so what I need to do now is I need to get the bread dough onto the parchment paper. Parchment paper is going to help you clean up very, very quickly. Also, it's going to become the sling to pick up the dough and put it into the very, very hot Dutch oven. Work with some parchment paper down here, and you'll be glad that you did. Just move this away from the bowl wall, that is. That's what I was saying. And you can see how it's coming away from there. Take some flour and just sprinkle it on top and on the side of the dough. Let me tell you that when I made this earlier today, I forgot to put in the chopped rosemary. So I'm just going to add the chopped rosemary to this one right now so that we can have that nice rosemary taste into the bread. Again, don't use very much. I put some flour onto my scraper and just pull it up like this, and we're just trying to get it into the form of a ball. Again, you may have to add a little more flour because it may become sticky. If it becomes sticky, flour is your friend. You're not going to mess it up. So just keep on going, bring it over on top of each other like you're seeing me do. Okay, as you're doing this, you just want to push down and kind of knock the air out. This has come nicely into a bit of a ball, as you see. Now, the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take some leaves here of the rosemary. This is going to become the top of your dough, or your bread, so go ahead and just put that there. This is just for decoration, to be honest with you, so people know that there's rosemary inside. You just want to take a clean towel and lay that on top of the bread. You can see the bread is right here, the dough. Lay that on top. We're going to be going for another proofing, which is going to take 30 minutes to do. Just 30 minutes is all it's going to take. The correct size of Dutch ovens that you want to use is this one. And this one is a 5-quart Dutch oven, 5-quart. All right, now the next step is that we need to preheat the oven and the Dutch oven inside of the oven, and we need to preheat these ovens to 450 degrees. This really is an oven within an oven. So I'm going to go over here, turn my oven on to 450 degrees, and it's going to preheat for about 30 to 45 minutes. And over here, the bread dough is proofing again, and it's going to be proofing for another 30 minutes or so. I want to show you that I've set up on my counter 2 different metal racks. This is going to be to hold the hot Dutch oven, and this one is for the lid of the Dutch oven, because both the oven and the lid are going to be 450 degrees, super hot. So now I'm going to take the Dutch oven out of the oven, bring it up here, and show you how we're going to move this dough over to the Dutch oven. Okay, I have the Dutch oven up here on the countertop. Remember, put down a metal rack because this is going to pop your granite or your marble, whatever you have, immediately if this Dutch oven hits that because it's so hot. Remember, use pot holders because these metal Dutch ovens are so extremely hot and you don't want to be burning yourself. I speak from experience. Okay, I want to show you how nicely that this bread is right over here, has proofed. Done a great job. I'm just going to cut some slits in the top. I'm going to go both sides, just making some holes, and this is going to make the holes so that the air and the gases can escape as it's cooking. Okay, I'm going to use the parchment paper like you're seeing here, and I'm just going to bring it up and then pop the dough into the Dutch oven. Remember, it's very, very, very hot, so please be careful. All right, so use some kitchen shears to kind of cut away this parchment paper. Now use a pot holder again and bring this over to the top of the Dutch oven. We're now going to place this back in the oven for about 25 to 30 minutes, lid on. Then I'm going to take the lid off and it's going to go for another 10 or 15 minutes until it gets to the level of brownness that I want for the bread. Okay, everybody, it's been about 25 or 30 more minutes, and I'm going to now take the Dutch oven out of the oven and take the lid off so we can continue the browning. Be right back. Okay, the Dutch oven is up. Remember, use pot holders. It's extremely hot. Remember to have the metal pieces set up on your counter or you're going to pop your granite because that oven is so hot, the Dutch oven and the lid. Okay, I think you can see this so far in that camera view, what it's looking like. And it's coming together very, very nicely. And you could stop right here if you wanted to, but I like to make the crust a little darker and a little more crusty. So right now, I'm gonna put this back in the oven. I'm gonna say for about 10 to 12 more minutes, and then we're gonna wrap this up, okay? I'm gonna go back in the oven, lid off the Dutch oven for about 10 to 12 minutes. Here we go. Okay, everybody, I've taken the bread out of the oven. It's become bread now, not dough. and it toasted up super well. So now I'm just going to take this out of the Dutch oven. Just want to show you how well that beautiful bread turned out. Can you see that? Yeah, look at that. It looks fantastic. It smells even better. Now I'm going to set this down right here. You can see how beautiful the bread is. And anyway, this needs to sit here for about 3 hours or so, cool off, and then we'll be able to cut it and then serve the bread. But you cannot cut the bread right now. It's just going to be a gummy mess on the inside, and it needs to cool off. Okay, thanks a lot for watching the video today. Happy holidays to you as they come into our season in the next few weeks. Please do me a favor and subscribe to the channel if you've not done so already. And please do me a favor and give us a big thumbs up. If you would like to become a supporting member of this channel, you may do so. All the links are down below. Or if you just want to buy me a coffee, if you've got something from this, I really appreciate any support that you would like to provide. Well, thanks a lot for watching again. See you next time. Take care.